I'll take for 20 more minutes until 10 o'clock. I'll take this. Right? So I am discussing about happiness. Now the thing is, whenever there is essence of ethics or anything, the ultimate goal of any human being is happiness, as said by Socrates. Right? Now, essence, consequences of ethics in human actions, or whatever you are writing, write all those things only in these terms. That is called, you can end with this. You can draw a diagram like this, a pictorial representation. Essence is going to build this harmonious society, which is going to lead to the happiness of all. Right? Patriotism, in the context of defense services, patriotism demands readiness season even to lay down one's life in protecting the nation. Now here you can use this in, there is one thing called dimensions of ethics in your syllabus. In that, duty based ethics. Right? In the duty based ethics, it is always your duty, or you should be ready to lay down one's life in protecting the nation. That is called duty based ethics. So you can use it there. Now you can also think, like, whenever you are giving some contrasting views, like say for example, whenever you are writing about value system or how ethics is different from person to person, right? People always say that you have to be you have to show patriotism towards your country. Now the thing is, this value varies from individual to individual based upon your duty. If you are based on as a doctor during the times of COVID-19, you have showed your patriotism by going and attending to the hospitals. If you are a regular tax paying citizen, right, then you have to pay the taxes, and that is how you can show patriotism. Right? So patriotism, more or less, you can link one in duty based ethics, or you can also write it as an example saying that, for example, ethics for persons at different levels is being different. For example, you take patriotism, it is a great ethical value, or it is a great human value. Everyone should show patriotism towards their nation. Now, for an individual, for a common citizen, paying regular taxes is a thing. Like for an army man who is working, laying down one's life for protecting the nation is one patriarchal value. Sir, patriotism, right? This is how you can write examples by showing different context. That is the point. Attitude, content, structure, and functions. Its influence and relation. I said content, structure, and function. It has something to do with some theory. We'll study that. Its influence and relation with thought and behavior. Right? Thoughts, behavior, attitude. Right? Moral attitude, political attitude, Gandhiji's seven sins, social influence, and persuasion. In our society, contrasting attitudes are prevalent about many social problems. In our society, contrasting attitudes are prevalent about many social problems. For example, what is one social problem? Caste is one social problem. Communalism is one social problem. Right? Insurgent groups is one social problem. That is regionalism, extreme regionalism. Internal security, whatever you read, you can use it here. The thing is, contrasting attitudes are prevalent in our society about many social problems. Now, whenever you are writing this, or whenever you are writing about attitudes, or whenever you are thinking on two dimensions, you have to write this. This is what I said: ethics in public life and ethics in private life. You have contrasting attitude in yourself. If it is a public life, you'll go to the public and you say that yes, intercaste marriages are fine. But when it comes to your private domain, you'll not be ready to marry other caste people. That is one example. The second example is the same thing I said about dowry. We'll go on to the public life and we'll speak that dowry is very dangerous thing. But in the private life, when it comes, we'll not be ready to accept without dowry, right? So these are contrasting attitudes. So whenever you are writing ethics in public and private life, you can use the term. In our society, in place of society, you can use in at the individual level. Contrasting attitudes are prevalent, right? Next, if you are speaking about society, for example, if the question is speaking about society, you can use the same thing, and you can say, as contrasting attitudes are present like this, ethics is very important, right? Our attitudes towards life, work, and other people and society are generally shaped unconsciously by the family and the social surroundings in which we grow up. Some of these unconsciously acquired attributes and values are often undesirable in the citizens of modern democratic and egalitarian societies. Look at the beautiful terms that they have used in this. Egalitarian societies, modern democratic societies, right? We discussed one thing that is called values, which are present traditionally and which are imbibed in modern days. One value that you can find in the modern days is the value of democracy, culture. Cultural values are being reflected because of this, right? So modern democratic and egalitarian societies, these are the societies that you find which are very liberal, right? Which give importance to human life. So whenever you are discussing something like ethics is going to play a crucial role in developing an individual to become an egalitarian individual or egalitarian citizen, then you have to give these type of words. You have to use these type of words in your answer writing. Look at this, our attitudes towards life. Now, there are two things again here. What are those? The first thing is role of family and society in shaping the attitudes, right? Here there is one thing. Role of family, society, educational institutions. The answer is here. Role of family and society, because they are going to shape the attitudes towards our life, towards our work, and towards the other people and society, because they are subconsciously or unconsciously, they are developed by the family and social surroundings. You can use the same thing whenever you are writing about role of family and role of society in inculcating the so-called value system or ethics in human beings. Some of these unconsciously acquired attributes and values are often undesirable in the citizens. Now I said, see, nuclear families versus the traditional families. This is the question. Some of these unconsciously attributes and values are often undesirable. We grow in a giant family and we consider that patriarchy is the lineage that I have carried and I should carry that even for the next generation. So this is the system that I have gained subconsciously or unconsciously because of the family system. As a result, I am showing the same thing, which are very, very dangerous for the modern day democratic and egalitarian society. Right? This is the contrasting picture. This is how you have to think and you have to extract the points from previous year questions itself. I hope you are getting this. There are two things that you can write from this. One is, what is the value, what is the role played by educational institutions and society in building the ethical values in individuals? You can use the same sentence, that is the first sentence. And the second sentence, whenever you are writing something like comparing something like our olden days or our old culture is very good compared to the new culture. Even in essay, they will ask these things. In essay writing, in history, they will ask modernization versus traditionality, right? The culture of the modern days versus the culture of traditionality. People always write that the old culture is very good, but no, you have to give these type of dimensions because they are acquired unconsciously. Now you can also write this in conscience, right? So conscience, if because family is playing a crucial role in developing your conscience and society is playing a crucial role in developing your conscience. Now the thing is, if you are if you are developing these things unconsciously, then it is going to impact your conscience. So you have to be very careful. Even you can write these type of things in conscience also, right? Two different kinds of attitudes exhibited by public servants towards their work have been identified. One is bureaucratic attitude, and the second thing is democratic attitude. Can someone say in which areas can we use this? Two different kinds of attitudes are exhibited by public servants towards their work have been identified. One is bureaucratic attitude and democratic attitude. Where can you use this? In the syllabus, where can you use this? Private ethics in private and public life, contrasting attitudes, okay. Contrasting attitudes, completely fine. Ethics in private and public, professional ethics, okay, right. Public private, okay, you can use in all these things. Two different kinds of attitudes are exhibited by public servants towards their work. Is it only the thing, or can you also use it in governance or anything like that? Right, at times you can use this point in governance also, because and when people go, this is called emotional intelligence, where to use what? Policy making, okay. Emotional intelligence, the officer has to be quite emotionally intelligent, saying that where to exhibit the bureaucratic attitude and where he has to exhibit the democratic attitude, and where he has to exhibit both combinedly, right? It has something with emotional intelligence, because it is leading to something called the concept of empathy and compassion, right? If you are going, yesterday this was in news, right? In Kerala, one minister has went to see the victims suffering from floods, but he was unable to walk, or he refused to walk in that streets because it was full of water. He asked others to get some help. In order to do help, he went there, but he himself got help to go and walk through that flooded lanes. So this is attitude of political attitude that that person carried, or the bureaucratic attitude that that person carried. But at times you should know democratic attitude, the values. What is democratic attitude? The liberal values that you should have, the empathetic values that you should have, the compassionate values that you should have. So even here, it can be used in emotional intelligence, because it is very important. In emotional intelligence, you have to write this as an officer. It is very essential that at times you have to exhibit your bureaucratic attitude, at times you have to exhibit your democratic attitude, and there will be some situations which will be demanding a combination of both. So you have to write that along with the so-called whatever you mentioned, then it is going to give certain dimensions. Yes, you can also use it in contrasting attitudes, problems in, right, there is one question called problems in governance. What is the present status? Many people carry what is the present status of civil services. Public civil service values and ethics in public administration, status and problems, they are asking this. Now one problem that our bureaucrats show is they always carry bureaucratic attitude rather than carrying this democratic attitude. So you can use that there also, right? This is how you have to use. So in attitude itself, there are two things. That is at the officer level, you have to show both dimensions. Human beings should always be treated in themselves. This is called moral attitude. She has classified this under moral attitude. Okay, fine. Human beings should always be treated as ends in themselves and never merely as means. Very, very important, and this has to be used in your paper. Human beings should always be treated as Sorry, should always be treated as ends in themselves and never nearly as means. Yes, this is very, very important, right? It was said by Immanuel Kant. Yes, yes, Manogna, it was said by Immanuel Kant. Human beings should always be treated as ends in themselves and never merely as means. This has to be the thing. I'll discuss the meaning of it later, but remember this, you can use these things. Human beings should be treated as an end in themselves. So you can use this in governance. Whenever government is making some policy, right? Government should not use people as means, rather the ends has to be the people, right? This is very important. This is going to lead to the concept of good governance. Good governance should include this thing, right? Next, behavior. It is said anger is a harmful negative emotion. It is injurious to both personal life and political life, both personal life and work life. If it leads to negative emotions and undesirable behavior. So they are asking about one emotion that is called anger, and they are saying that this one. Where you can use this? You can use this in emotional intelligence again. How? In emotional intelligence, whenever you are explaining about emotional intelligence, you can give example. If a person is having emotional intelligence, then he can be very balanced. For example, if he is not emotionally intelligent about one emotion, about anger, then it is going to be injurious to both of his personal life as well as political life. You have to write in this way, right? So in emotional intelligence, you can write this: anger is a harmful negative emotion and it is injurious to both health, work and life. This can be used as a substantiation. Then it is a, again it belongs to value system, that is called negative value set. Those who are very anger, it is going to be a negative value to them. So you can use this again example as there. So one best thing is, whenever you are writing about emotions, something about these things, then you have to use this, right? Hatred is destructive of person's wisdom and conscience that can poison a nation's spirit. Now see this hatred, it is not a ethical term, right? Unethical term. So whenever you are writing about ethics or essence of ethics or anything related to values, right? You can use this value system, ethics. You should be using this. These two things you can use interchangeably again. Hatred is a destructive of person's wisdom and it is going to harm conscience. Now, whenever they ask what are the factors which are making a person to lose conscience, one is anger, the second one is hatred. All the negative emotions is going to make you to lose the conscience, right? It can poison a nation's spirit. Look at this. This you can use in, again, the essence of ethics, you can use it. In the attitude of persons, you can use it, right? In emotional intelligence, you can use it. In ensuring that there is some good governance also, you can use it. Aristotle said anger is good if it is at right time and right situation and right person. Yes, I'll come to that point, Kavya. Right? So this is how you, that is the reason why I asked you is you have to go through the syllabus minutely and you have to remember the syllabus. If you do remember the syllabus and just if you go through this PDF that we have shared, then more or less you can interchangeably use the things. The only thing is you have to think on where to use and how to use, right? Social influence and persuasions, he has not written anything. Okay, we can use it later. So let us end at this point today. I'm going to discuss from fourth tomorrow. After this, I will be starting with each and everything. I'll give some examples for each and everything, and we'll wind up this so that you people can start writing. So my suggestion is, again, every day, whenever you are reading ethics, or give some time, at least some 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and keep writing, keep write the syllabus itself. Without seeing, write the syllabus. What are the contents in syllabus? You should know what is the link between each and every syllabus points. Once your syllabus is very clear here, then you can use all these things interchangeably, right? That is the suggestion that I can give. You practice it at least 10 minutes every day for the next 15 days or 20 days, then it is going to be a very easy task. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Is it understandable? Is it okay, or do you want me to make any changes in my discussion?